Namaste Internet. Welcome to the 5th episode of Soundtrack of Life with me, the Vipin Mishra project. In the earlier 4 episodes, I've tried my best to demystify and point out what all you should be focusing on, understanding, taking care of if you wish to craft out a profession in music. और ये करने का मेन पर्पस मेरा यही है दैट इन माई ओन जर्नी एज अ म्यूजिशियन एज अ फिल्म कंपोजर there are many wrong turns that I've taken because कोई clear cut रास्ता है नहीं, at least not in our country, in India as yet. And to be honest with you, yeah, sure, music colleges and all in the West can help you formalize your learning, in a way that it's a little more methodical. But still, the field of music remains quite unstructured. So that is the attempt of this podcast. But in this episode, I'm changing direction a little bit. This is going to be a conversational episode. Earlier, I had a prolific young Indian classical vocalist over at the studio. Her name is Ronkini Gupta. Now, Ronkini and 2 of her musician friends who accompanied her on tabla and harmonium came to the studio to film and to record for a series I'm calling Raga Revival. The main purpose or effort of doing this series is to both patronize as well as try and popularize traditional Indian music. So in season 1, which we are starting very shortly, we are hosting 5 different artists and we are focusing on Hindustani classical. I will be sharing these videos on my YouTube and the recordings, the audio recordings, which have come out absolutely spectacular on Spotify and Apple, etc. as well. So do look out for Ronkini Gupta. In fact, if you are interested in Indian classical and if you would like to explore that genre, I would encourage that you go hear her music. It's truly, her talent is truly wonderful. So in that process, after we'd finished our recording, Ronkini and I had a conversation. और मुझे ऐसा लगा कि इस conversation को मेरे को एक podcast में बना देना चाहिए. That's because it was a very honest and candid exchange that we had. And I think आप सबको सुन के अच्छा लगेगा because it's a musician's journey, it's her journey of how she fell in love with music. So it's a nice conversation. You will not be seeing me on camera here on because the camera will be on Ronkini, but you'll be able to hear my voice asking other questions. And if you are not on Spotify, then anyways this podcast is only audio for you, so it doesn't matter. Okay, so let's head over and speak with Ronkini Gupta. It'll be nice if you can just tell the listeners a little bit about yourself, about your journey, and also about where they can find your music. More than this, and anything else that you wish to, and whatever comes to mind. तो उससे क्या होगा, क्या पता
Can you like shoot a little specific like question because I'm very bad at
I know, I can imagine. We all are. अच्छा, तो एक general question पूछते हैं. So the way I look at it is that Indian classical is reaching much lesser people as a form of music as compared to other music.
Right.
And obviously other music has the, how should I say, it rides on what is called mainstream.
Right.
So yeah, the distribution is more and people get to hear it more, and so probably जैसे होता है ना, जिससे आप ज़्यादा मिलते हो कभी कभी
वही आपको प्यारा लगने लगता है.
Correct, exactly. तो मैं आपसे ये पूछना था कि एक तो, I mean, you are even much younger than I am, and both Ashish and Abhinay are in their mid-20s.
Absolutely.
And they are here participating. So I'm curious to know how the 3 of you have found music. Let's start with you.
Right.
How did you find it? I'm sure it started somewhere and then it changed when it started to mean something even greater to you.
Sure. So I started, music happened to me at a very young age, if I put it that way. I don't belong to a musical family, but my parents were very interested in that art form. And ironically enough, where I grew up in Jamshedpur, we had an extremely pratibhashali guru. So I don't know how to use, what is the word for pratibhashali? Very talented, very charismatic, very knowledgeable.
Yes.
So I think he was a great mix of being a great knower, because this is Shastriya Sangeet, which means that it has deep study involved, and being able to impart, which is what a guru does. So I was very fortunate to find him. His name is Sri Chandrakant Apteji. He was my first guru, and I had the saubhagya,
Yes, good fortune.
good fortune
Bilkul.
to have his guidance for a good 10 years of my life. And within those 10 years, I started realizing that it needed or required great discipline and dedication to even fathom this art form, for starters. So that happened, and most of the time I would say that love for this music happened a lot later. Initial years were a lot of push and perseverance of my parents. Like, they were the ones who were instrumental in making me do my riyaz at an everyday basis, wherein it was first made into a habit. Okay, and like you said that जिस चीज़ से हम राब्ता रखने लगते हैं उस चीज़ से हमें इश्क हो जाता है, तो वो हुआ, लेकिन उसको बहुत टाइम लगा for me. Like, I took a good 10 years, and I'm saying this because I don't use the word love very casually. Love is not something which is casual. So that love I found after 10 years, कि जिसमें effort है, जिसमें commitment है, जिसमें sacrifice है, जिसमें एक अद्भुत मतलब एक attachment और detachment दोनों हैं.
Very interesting.
Okay, attachment because it takes sweat and blood, and detachment because you shouldn't take it to a degree where you get into violent behavior with yourself. Okay, because the process of riyaz is a very rigorous process where you are supposed to sit and practice for hours and get up in the morning at 4:30 in the all those things come in the picture. तो तीन चीज़ें मुझे पता चली in a span of 10 years कि practice, perform and preserve also, because my music relationship had also gone to a space where, because you're asking what my journey was,
Yes.
Where I had developed nodules and stuff like
Yes,
that.
yes,
So
yes.
the vocal hygiene जो जिसको हम कहते हैं, और अब और भी ज़्यादा, क्योंकि अब जो है परफॉर्मेंस केवल जो है एक परफॉर्मेंस जो है वो केवल एक ऐसी जगह पे नहीं है जहाँ पे कोई, देखिए अब हमारे बात करते करते ये हो गया,
Correct.
है ना, कि मतलब कुछ बोल नहीं सकते, कहीं से भी कुछ भी हो रहा है.
Correct.
तो उस सेंस में एक हर चीज़ से इसको बचा के रखना, प्रिजर्व करना, नॉट ओनली इन टर्म्स ऑफ योर ईटिंग हैबिट्स, बट आप कहाँ जा रहे हैं, किससे मिल रहे हैं, क्या, क्योंकि सब चीज़ जो है वो आपके संगीत को अफेक्ट करता है. तो ये सब होते होते, इतना एक्सपीरियंस होते होते मुझे वक्त लगा, इसलिए मैं कह रही हूँ कि मुझे वो प्यार, जो जिस तरीके के प्यार की मैं बात कर रही हूँ, वो पनपते बहुत वक्त लगा. और एक बार वो हो गया तो सेटल हो गया कि भाई यही है. And that was around my mid-20s, because I come from a service class. My mom was a teacher and my father was a civil engineer, and I came with all that comes with that kind of an upbringing.
Correct.
पढ़ाई करनी है, संगीत ठीक है, को-करिकुलर करो, and then that's it.
Yeah.
बट संगीत अभी हाल ही में मैंने अजय जी का एक वीडियो देखा जहाँ पे वो कह रहे हैं कि ये को-करिकुलर एक्टिविटी नहीं है, ये पूरा सब्जेक्ट है, एक डिसिप्लिन है वो.
Absolutely.
तो उससे बहुत मैं प्रभावित हुई कि हाँ सच, you need people to spell that out, because otherwise music is looked at as a co-curricular subject.
Yes, absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
But it is a full subject, it is a full discipline, and it is as good as studying physics or math or logic or whatever. And so I studied, and I actually completed my education in economics and statistics and mathematics.
Right.
And after that I did an MBA like every other child does. And then I was looking at doing a job. But somewhere I feel that the love, like I said, it went into that space where I knew that it was this or that. That juncture, I think in every musician's life it comes.
Yes.
Where they have to make a choice and say that, okay, अब दो नाव पे पैर रख के नहीं चल सकते, एक ही चूज़ कर लो और उसमें जो होगा उस पे सरेंडर कर दो.
Yes, yes.
So that kind of happened at 26 6, 7, which a lot of people think is a very late age. And I also felt like that. But now I feel it's not. Nothing is. It's never late. Better late than never.
Yes, and also I think your early exposure set what I would call the foundations.
Right.
Your prolific teacher, clarified a lot of the concepts and the trials and tribulations which will usually happen with a student. So I think that foundation cannot be
ignored.
So that so your age doesn't make a difference. You're absolutely right. So what comes to mind is, and might not even share this. I don't know. Now that we're having this conversation is rolling, and I just want to. But what seems to me is that, because of the duration that it takes for a person to gain craft, skill, and therefore get to know that skill, craft, and tabhi isko Shastri Sangeet bolte hai, like you said, better. That duration is long, and I think a lot of people are seeking gratification in shorter spans.
Yes.
So, if you really look at it, if you break down music, I think this is my personal thing. A lot of people take up music to become stars.
Sure.
And it is not so much about what is to be said, rather than that figure of being a star.
Correct.
Of what is. So, what I find intriguing is that obviously Indian classical has always been a parallel stardom.
Yes.
Let's put it this way, right? So I will not say there are not
a parallel stream.
Yes.
I don't know about the stardom part.
No, but that too.
Yes,
that too.
Yeah.
There are people who travel the world, and people wait. Yes, probably a smaller audience stream, or whatever.
Correct.
So
niche, I would say, actually we can say niche for smaller, because it is niche.
Yes.
It also requires a certain degree of understanding and ability to understand this music.
Yes.
I went to an interesting talk by Pandit Arun Kashalkarji, where he was saying that this is that form of music which actually needs a little learning to even go and attend a concert for.
Yeah, even to appreciate.
So it's that art form. So obviously we are looking at an audience which...
Yeah, and I would think really it comes down to the time, because even when I look at my personal, I should say as a listener, forget about as a composer, but as a listener also, be it Indian classical or be it even jazz.
Right.
There was a time where some of my older friends were hearing jazz, and I tried, and it did not speak to me. So I think, it's a fact, because we were so much into blues and rock and that whole scene. But I think there comes a time. I think it's exposure.
It's exposure, yes.
Yes,
absolutely.
and it's the duration of that exposure.
People coming and showing you the nuances, detailed study. Music appreciation is also a subject.
Of course.
How to listen, what to listen.
Correct.
What are the details to pay attention to?
Yes.
Is also, so that's like advanced listening, as we call.
Absolutely.
Right? It's not on the surface. You have to go deeper than that. So,
absolutely. And so I think I'm hoping that with this, because of our unedited, long,
very
candid performances, if people do sit and hear it, I think one thing we've ensured is the duration of exposure and the
yes, we have.
And
but what the craft and the skill brings about, Vipin, because we are also now, both you and I, you much more than me, have been in the commercial music scene, and now we know even for making a song, what is the process that really goes on.
Yeah.
Which also has a very, very large degree of craft and skill. But because somewhere a lot of technology has come in and made things a lot easier.
Yes.
A lot of the craft and skill of the musician, actually not even a musician, I'll only say a singer. Because for musicians, pardon me if I'm wrong, whenever I have seen murderous musical experiences, the musicians have been great.
Yeah. Because you can't fib playing an instrument.
You cannot fib.
There is no, if you can't play the guitar or the sitar, you can't play it.
You can't play it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's as simple as that.
It's as simple as that. But for a vocalist, that's not true. For various reasons, good and bad.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Because we have to go beyond the sur and the tal and all of that. But first like we assume that part should be clean and clear.
Absolutely.
Right? So because of that process of technology, one song itself probably takes months. But if you have the correct craft and skill and you have all the three people in sync,
absolutely,
you can actually, like, we've done 7 tracks today.
Yes.
It's not a joke.
Yes.
It's like 7 hours and we've, it's out
and
there.
without a notation in front of you.
without a notation in
Yeah,
front
with
of
the
you. It's all in the head.
the only guide being all of that music which you've been ingesting
Which we
over
have
so many
churned through the years.
Yes, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
So that is the experience. So we can actually cater to this very short period that we are heading to, but I feel that the craft and skill has to go a multiple times ahead.
Yeah.
हम भी 3 मिनट में and actually 3 मिनट में input with output.
Correct.
Not 3 महीने के बाद 3 मिनट का output.
Correct.
You know.
Correct.
So this skill also promises that. So therefore I feel that, you know, more and more people, but then of course there's an effort to get here and
Correct.
sort of deliver that sort of a thing.
Awesome. But Ashish, thank you so much. Abhinay, thank you so much. And Ronkini, absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we will hope to meet you guys soon.
Yeah, we would love to
And,
do many more.
Yes, we'd love to have you here. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, I'm sure you've enjoyed that conversation that I had with Ronkini. And if you did, please do follow this podcast. I intend on having many more artists, we'll have just a general chat and try to share some insights about this field with you. On social media platforms, my handle is Vipin Mishra Project. So it'll be really nice to connect with you on Instagram or YouTube. Those are the two places where I'm more active, but I'm there pretty much everywhere else as well. Do discover some music. It goes again by the name of the Vipin Mishra Project, and it's on Spotify, Apple, etc. And I'll see you on the next podcast. Given that this was Indian classical we were talking about, should I say my punchline? Yeah, doesn't really matter. Music is music. So you better be ready to rock and roll. This is Vipin Mishra saying bye for now, and I'll see you on the next one.